What's going on, y'all? I know it's been a little minute since I posted on YouTube, and crazy, it feels refreshing, it feels revitalized to be able to come back here and actually give you guys some content that I think will be really helpful, especially for people who are going through the same thing that I'm going through right now. So I don't want to drag this video out too long. I want to kind of give you an idea of what's been going on with my Achilles injury. How am I, what's the process like initially, how it happened, what it felt like, and kind of go through that for you guys really quick. And then I kind of want to go into the surgery, why did I choose to get surgery versus why not, and just kind of give you guys a little bit of my thoughts on this. And then the goal is to continue to document the journey throughout the next couple of weeks, months. It's gonna be one of those things where I'm gonna have to really, lock in, dedicate myself to all the physical therapy and all the work that I have to do on my own time. But the goal is to come back bigger, stronger, faster, and to get back to the same things y'all seen me do, in previous videos. So without further ado, let's get into it. I got injured playing flag football. Yeah, if y'all know, I played football in high school, college, won championships in high school and college, and I've never had a major injury to the point where I had to get surgery. My biggest injury was a concussion that I went to the hospital for, and it was more so of a precaution just to make sure that I didn't have any crazy damage. I called my mom. My mom said I said some crazy stuff that I would never say to her, and she had my brother rush me to the hospital, and that's how she knew my concussion was pretty bad. Long story short with that, I just missed 2 weeks. We had a bye week, so I missed that week. I missed the week after, and I came back, was ready to ball out. This injury, I was playing flag football with a group of friends, and I haven't played flag football since 2016, so I was really excited to get back on the field. First game we played, didn't really get the ball a lot. Was super upset. We lost, but I guarded their best defender. Felt pretty good, and as you know, I stay in shape. I work out constantly. I work out 4 to 5 days a week. So wasn't too worried about injury, but the field was always a little shaky. It's kind of like an outdoor soccer field, so the turf isn't super deep. I wore cleats on it the first time, thought I would be good to go. Came back next week, had a way better game, scored a touchdown, got a 2-point conversion, was on the point of getting another point scored, threw the ball up. I went to jump, and instantly I knew something was wrong. It literally felt like somebody kicked me in the back of my foot, or something like I hit a sprinkler. And to give you an idea of what it sounded like, it was very audible. It sounded like somebody smacking 2 cleats together. If you ever, play football on mud, and after the game you took your cleats off, and before you put them in your locker or your bag, you took them and smashed them together. That's kind of what it sounded like. So as this happened, I get hit in the heel. I instantly fall to the ground because I lost all my momentum going upward. I'm looking at the field and I'm checking to see if I hit a sprinkler, if there's a hole in the field, if somebody was behind me. Nobody's near me, and I'm checking the field. I'm kind of feeling around with my foot that I hurt, so it kind of feels like there's a hole or some kind of divot in the foot, in the field. But I realized that my foot was swollen. But my teammates all looking at me, and they're giving me that weird look. I'm assuming they all heard the pop too. And now I'm just sitting there I'm hoping that this is a really bad calf strain. I'm sitting on the ground for a second. Everybody's asking me what I feel. Obviously it didn't feel good. On a scale of 1 to 10, the pain was closer to an 8 or 9. But I'm tough, Kobe mentality, got up, hobbled off the field. And, the game was over after that pretty much. We were running late on time anyway. So after that, pretty tough injury. They kind of just ended the game there. Thankfully, it was my left foot, so I was able to drive myself home, and I kind of just limped up the stairs, and I was like, let me go to urgent care tomorrow, hoping that this was a very, very mild injury. My light died. But anywho, the next morning I go to the doctor. My foot swelled up overnight. It was extremely swollen, couldn't feel anything, and the pain was pretty severe. So I get to urgent care, right when they open. I wait for about an hour. The nurse was super helpful, or the person at the counter, she went to check me in, and she put it under a fracture. So that's a little tip for you guys if you need to speed up your process to get seen by a doctor at urgent care. Let them know that you think something might be broken, and they'll push you to the front of the queue, because that gets a little bit more priority than somebody who has the sniffles. After waiting about an hour, I talked to the general practitioner, and she does what's called the Thompson test, which is when they have you lay on your stomach, they squeeze your calf, and there's a reflex in your calf that when you squeeze, it should move your foot. So if your Achilles is still intact, as they do that test, your foot should move. So she does this on my good leg first to make sure that my body was functioning as it should. Then she does it on the injured leg, and there's no reaction. So that's pretty much the telltale sign that, you know, you have a torn Achilles. From there, she referred me to a specialist. I met with one doctor, and he basically confirmed that it was a tear. And then he set up an appointment for me to talk to the Achilles specialist who was at the hospital or at the urgent care center. Fortunately, I couldn't talk to her that same day because she was out. So I was able to talk to her on Friday, 5 days after my injury. I got injured on Sunday. I meet with the doctor on Friday. I go there, you know, she checks everything. She feels it. She says after the swelling goes down a little bit, she said that she felt a little bit of tendon there. So she thought it might have been a partial tear. I go through the process to get an MRI. They actually put me in a splint for the previous 4 days so I could limit, you know, whatever mobility on my foot. It basically had my foot pointed down like this, and it was like a cloth splint with like a memory foam around it that was kind of able to mold to my foot. So before they put my foot in it, they bent my foot all the way down like this. Extremely painful at the time. And they wrap it, and that was able to protect my foot for the time being. And it was also able to keep my Achilles as close together as possible to prevent it from like rolling up into my calf with like a sudden movement or any kind of accident or incident. After she thought that it was a partial tear, I waited 6 hours at urgent care on Friday for an MRI. Long story short, we get the MRI, it confirms the full tear. And from there, we talk about surgery options. So I get home, I talk to the doctor, or I'm talking to my wife and the doctor after I get the diagnosis confirmed. Okay, so I talked to the doctor on Friday about the options, whether surgical or non-surgical. The biggest factors in deciding on getting surgery was recovery time, ability to get back to like my former self. As you guys know, I run, I live, I'm very active. So getting back to those things were important, and getting back as fast as I can was super important. My quality of life, which in turn was an opinion thing, and everybody's body is different. So I didn't want to base this on anybody else's idea. My version of a quality life is me basically getting back to where I was, and the ability to like play with my son and have a future, you know, run around with my kids. Like I don't want to be the old guy who can't, you know, shoot basketball with his kids and, you know, run around with his son when he gets older. Like I told myself I got to be the dude that can be his son in basketball until my son is like 15, 16 at least. And I didn't think I could do that with a non-surgical repair. And based on everything I read, the studies and the science doesn't show any difference. It actually shows that after a year, the recovery is very similar, but the re-rupture rate, as I was told, for surgery is 3% and for non-surgical is 9%. So my other goal was to limit, you know, that re-rupture percentage as low as possible. And that also is the reason why I ended up choosing to get surgery. Okay, boom. Give me 1 second, I got some notes here. Okay. So after I opted for surgery, I found out on Friday, like I said, which is 5 days post-injury, I found out that I was gonna be available and able to get surgery on Wednesday. So that basically put me out another 5 days through the weekend. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And my surgery day kind of went like this. So I show up to the hospital, my pre-op was at 2 p.m. I get there a little bit before 2 p.m. to check in and, you know, take care of any kind of financial obligations that I had at the office before they take me to the pre-op. Once they take you to pre-op, they separate you from your family, and you pretty much, the first thing that I did was I met my operative nurse, and what she did was she set me up with my IV. She kind of walked me through a very basic walkthrough of the procedure, helped me change into my hospital gown. At that point, I had to put all my belongings in a bag, give all my personal stuff to my wife, except for my phone, which I was allowed to have on me up through the point of the surgery. And they put me in the gown, the little head, you know, the little head cover. They gave me the fuzzy socks with the grip on it, and I had my foot wrapped in an ACE bandage. From there, she talked me through what she was gonna do. They proceeded to put the IV in my hand. She did that relatively quickly and painlessly. And then from there, I was pretty much chilling. They brought my family back in. I got to hang out with my family for a little bit. And that's when they brought the anesthesiologist. And I got to sit and chat with him for quite a bit. He walked me through like what the anesthesia process would be like. So I went under. So I was completely unconscious during the surgery. And he gave me the option of getting the nerve block or not. And the nerve block is basically something that they do which basically blocks your nerve. So it basically is an injection that you get in your leg, and the fluid that they inject in you basically cuts off the feeling from your knee down, so that you can have as little pain as possible upon waking up from the surgery, and then for the next 24 to 48 hours after the surgery. My biggest concern was it gonna hurt? And he said, depending on like your muscle density and depending on all these different factors, it could or could not hurt. But I must say that when I got it, it was expertly done. I barely felt the needle go in, and the nerve block took literally like 2 seconds to get. And the needle was like huge, so don't get that wrong. If you're scared of needles, don't look at it. I looked when he did it because I gotta see, like, I gotta know when I'm gonna expect this. I kind of brace myself a little bit, but the needle was huge. They used a sonogram to find the location of the nerve, and then he just put it in, injected it, and kind of made sure that it was going in via sonogram, and you know, that was that. The only thing that was super uncomfortable about it is I had to lay on my side, and the gown is a backless gown, so pretty much the whole room. So you got the anesthesiologist, you have like the junior anesthesiologist, whoever is like learning, and then a nurse. They're all like pretty much staring into your no man's land while you're bent over, and they have you hold the rail. So it kind of like, you ever seen somebody get into the fetal position, they tell you grab the rail? That's kind of what they did to me. So I'm like in fetal position grabbing the rail, like looking back while it happened. Super funny, but they kicked my wife and son out the room before they did that. So once they did that, my doctor came in, my operating doctor came in. She marked my leg, she kind of went over some last minute stuff, just made sure I was okay. And also in my IV, they put a little bit of something in there to make me super calm. And whatever it was, it worked because I was as mellow and as chill as I could possibly be. And I felt great. I said my temporary goodbyes to my wife and my son. They rolled me in the operating room. You know, it literally looks like how the alien dissection room looks in the movies. You got those 3 little dome spotlights that are super bright, the cleanest white light you could see, and everybody's in their sterile gear. And the lady comes, she puts the mask over my face, and she says, "Oh, this is just oxygen, just breathe in." And next thing you know, I woke up and I was out of surgery. So before the surgery, I couldn't eat or drink. No coffee, no caffeine, no food, no nothing. And that was pretty much it. I woke up after my surgery. I don't even really remember waking up. I just remember being awake, and my foot was all wrapped up in this. My foot was wrapped up in this, which is essentially a splint, and I'll put some pictures in here somewhere. But my foot was in a splint. This ace bandage right now is a little bit messy because I've had to take it off and adjust it to be able to kind of move the splint around. One of the things that you'll get to understand if you go through this injury is that you'll have moments where you're swelling and not swelling based on how long you ice, how long you elevate. So throughout the day, my foot would swell up and unswell, and my splint would move and adjust at night because you either have to sleep with your foot like straight on, or you have to rest your foot to either side, which throughout the night, it gets pretty uncomfortable. So you kind of go through the variation of those positions. And you know, when you wake up sometimes, the splint is just uncomfortable and it's rolled over. But I was able to do like micro adjustments, and my doctor told me I was able to take the ace bandage off. I didn't know I could do that based on how it was wrapped, but essentially once we got down to it, I was able to take the ace bandages off. I wasn't worried about the plaster, and I was able to shift it back and then re-wrap it with the ace bandage. And then once I got down to the bottom, I was able to ice my foot without all the ace bandages on top, which was really helpful in getting some of the swelling. I had a lot of swelling on the top of my foot, my toes, and my ankles. Those were the primary areas of swelling. The nerve block lasted about 48 hours. So I didn't start feeling pain in my foot until day 3. And when that pain kicked in, honestly, it was pretty intense. But following the prescription and the medicine schedule that your doctor gives you will really help with that. So as I left the hospital, they gave me a Percocet to take as I left the hospital. That was just to help with any mild discomfort. And then I was told that once I got home the next day to start taking a Percocet, even if the nerve block was still active, because at some point that nerve block is gonna wear off, and you don't want that pain to like punch you right in the face when it happens. And thankfully I was kind of able to ease myself into the pain. I didn't follow the schedule exactly. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm not in pain, I don't need to take the medication. So at certain points it did kind of kick in a little bit harder, but once I got myself onto that schedule after the pain was really unbearable, it really helped. And I was able to stop taking the Percocets after 72 hours of when the pain initially kicked in. So Excuse me. So I was able to stop taking the Percocets about 6 days after surgery, and I haven't taken them since. Other than one night, I slept in the shower like an idiot. Funny story. I'm not gonna tell it right now. This story is about the process of the surgery and everything like that. That's pretty much the surgery portion. I went back to work after a week. Thankfully, I have a job to where, you know, I run a team and they're able to help out with a lot of the stuff. So I was still able to do the majority of the functions of my job while being able to keep my feet up most of the time and to be able to rest. So I was really fortunate to not have to miss too much time from work. As of right now, I'm back to work on my same full schedule. I'm able to drive. I'm able to do all my errands. I actually... All right, y'all, sorry to interrupt the video, but I have to tell you that I just became an affiliate of iWalk. So for all my people who are suffering from lower leg injuries, make sure you use my discount code PRINCE5 to get 5% off your iWalk order. Of course, they kick me back a little bit, something on the side, but all that money is gonna go towards like hospital bills, rehab, PT, etc. So don't be bashful about supporting your boy. Go cop the iWalk. It's the best creation for lower leg injuries that I've ever used in my life. I don't know how I would have gotten through most of this time without it because crutches suck. I walk free because of iWalk. So make sure you shop my code. It's Prince, PRYNCE 5, and get 5% off your next iWalk order. Peace, and we'll back to the video. I actually have this. This is pretty much how I get around these days. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen this. This is called the iWalk. Shout out to iWalk and shout out to my coworker, Ben. He tore his Achilles last year and had this sitting around in his house. And he was so kind enough to let me borrow this when my injury happened so I didn't have to use crutches. And what the iWalk is basically a hands-free crutch. This is gonna allow you to walk and function as normal and allow you to get around with both hands available and free so you can still carry groceries and do all that stuff. And it's fairly comfortable. After sitting in this for a little bit, your knee does get sore. So I might recommend like getting like a little cushion or like a knee pad that you can throw on here. But literally this thing has been a lifesaver. The crutches started hurting me the very first day. This was very clutch and I couldn't be happier to throw this in a video. But this is what I've been using to get around, along with the scooter that I have for when I'm like in the mall or when I know I have a long distance to walk. I grab the scooter instead of this. And sometimes I'll grab the scooter and this and I'll put this on the handlebars while I scoot around if I know that I can't scoot around the whole place, but this will help me, you know, once I get to where I'm going, this is what I'm using. And this allows me to walk upstairs and do all that kind of stuff. And I take the scooter, like if I gotta walk across a parking lot or something like that. If you end up getting a lower leg injury, highly suggest you check out the iWalk. It's $159.99 on Amazon. It's a club thing. And scooters, any scooter on Amazon could pretty much work. I've seen them as low as $89.99. Thankfully, I was gifted that as well from another friend, so I didn't have to spend any money on this kind of stuff. The last thing I want to get into is like the expenses associated around this injury. I don't know what insurance you have. I have Kaiser. I'm not gonna go into any further detail about that one. All your doctor visits you have copays for. You have a different copay for the specialist. There's surgery costs, MRI costs, x-ray costs. I don't wanna give you my number exactly. Honestly, I would say you can expect to spend, depending on how good your insurance is, and even if you have the best insurance, you can still expect some out-of-pocket expenses. And I would say, you know, God forbid you get injured like this, expect to spend somewhere around like $1,000 to $1,500 or maybe even more depending on your insurance. But this definitely wasn't like the cheapest thing that happened to me, and it happened right around Christmas. So a lot of my personal Christmas gifts for myself were null and void. I got myself a surgery for Christmas, as I like to say. As of right now, I am 24 hours from my post-op appointment. So at this point, I believe that they'll be cutting the splint off, inspecting my incisions, inspecting my Achilles, checking on swelling and everything like that. And I'm praying to God, keeping my fingers crossed that if all goes well, that I'll be able to get into a boot. And that way I can like start to wash my feet. I haven't like seen my foot in days. My leg has shriveled up to like literally nothing. My leg looks like a tripod, like one leg of a tripod. And my calf literally feels like Jello. But the good news is hopefully if everything is healing well, I should be able to start some sort of rehab. And if they put me into a boot, then there's exercises and PT things that I can start to do at home now, where I can start to get the range of motion back in my ankle, and I can start to work on my plantar flexion strength and kind of build that stuff up slowly but surely and get one step closer to being back on my feet. So I don't know what the future holds for this injury. I don't know how my body is gonna react to the rehab and the training and just the overall recovery. But I do know this, I'm gonna put in that work, I'm gonna work really hard. I'm gonna take my time. I'm not gonna rush this process. I want everything to heal the way it's supposed to heal. I'm gonna try to find the best physical therapist that my insurance allows, and I'm gonna lock in with that person and really trust and listen to what they have to say to bounce back and have the best recovery possible. With that being said, I plan to take you guys throughout my whole Achilles journey. So I'm bringing you guys with me to the doctor, maybe, depending on if she lets me record. But I'm gonna try to do as many wrap up as I can. So you might see videos here in this spot. You might see videos in the car. You might see videos of the doctor. You're definitely gonna see videos of me at physical therapy so you guys can see what the rehab process really looks like. I kind of want to just be a resource for this Achilles injury. I know when I went on YouTube, it was very tough for me to find people who are as active as me and people who look like me and people who go through this recently. All the videos I've seen are at least a year or two old. So I'm really excited to bring you guys some fresh content based around this injury, and feel free to hit me up. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. It's PRYNCEJACOBS. And feel free to use me as a resource. I want to be a resource. I want to be an inspiration to people who are looking to bounce back from injury. I want to say this whole time my mental state has been positive, because it takes way less energy to be positive than negative. So we're going to be strong. We're going to get through this like anything else. And if you know me, you know I love a challenge and I never turn down a fade. So this is just another challenge in the book. It's another challenge to start my 2024. And, we're going to get to it, and it's going to be a beautiful year. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, like, follow, all that general YouTube stuff that people do. Follow me on Instagram, and hopefully, this YouTube thing will be something that I do consistently, because I really do enjoy coming on here, talking to people, telling people my story, and just being a resource to people and helping people. Like, at the end of the day, all I really want to do is make sure people are helped, that people learn, and people feel like they have somebody they can talk to when they need, and whenever they're going through something. Like, this is not easy by any stretch, but the goal is to be here and to support and to give love and to give back. So, like I said, if you trying to see what this is like, subscribe, and we getting to work, y'all. Today or tomorrow, essentially, is about to be day one, and we gonna bounce back and be stronger than ever. Peace.